I'm just turning
Mhm.
on the recording. So hi guys, welcome everybody on this session of our webinar. So we have with us Ms. Udita Datta, who is the founder director of ArtSmith Concepts and Vision, which is the top sports PR agency and one-stop communication agency in India. And they are the partners and they have collaborated with a lot of reputed organizations. So welcome Udita, welcome to the Bridge webinar.
Thank you, Ashley, for having me.
Thank you. My pleasure. So, for the audience, just to run you through the agenda. So, today's agenda of the conversation is public relation, a holistic overview. And we will talk about media relations tactics. We talk about public relations in Olympic sports. And we will also talk about, is public relation just about sending PRs, and is it really the devil for that matter? And we will talk about crisis management, which is also a very important part of public relation. So, so Udita, I think you, and to give a brief background about Udita, Udita has been a badminton player and a sports journalist, and now she's heading ArtSmith, which is doing extremely good in public relations in Indian sport. So, Udita, in your, I would say, tenure of public relation so far, uh, you, I want you to tell our audience that what is public relation according to you? How do you define it?
Very honestly, for me, public relation has been learning through and through. A lot of people have a background of it, or they've worked for it. I came with a zero background, just mere understandings from life, as a journalist, as a keen observer of things, and understanding what was there back then when I started, and what was missing. So that urge to understand what was missing led me to figure what we can do, is how we started doing sports PR. Because in 2011, when we started, there was nothing called sports PR. Nobody even considered it as a segment. Today there are specialized agencies, including us, but back then there wasn't any. So there was nothing called specialization. So bringing that in space, and obviously taking content as very, very key in the process of that journey. I keep saying this, is that, sports PR, or PR for that matter today, is a lot like what we've all watched, is Jerry Maguire. It's a job to protect as well as build and promote. So PR is just not, like you just said, it's holistic. It's so much more. It's advertising also at times. It's also about consumer research. It's just not restricted to media. So likewise, I would say that you are the Jerry Maguire. Think of it like that, and the job will be easy.
Wow, protect, build, and promote. Oh, that's amazing. Nice. So, and as you rightly said, that PR is not just about PR, and it involves advertising, media management, and so many other. It also includes a bit of content and social media management. So, ArtSmith doesn't only offer public relations services, but also social media and events and marketing and branding services. So, what do you feel that keeping your umbrella of services, being a PR entity, the umbrella of services is broad. And I feel that it is right now at this moment, it is more important than ever before in Indian sports ecosystem. So what is your opinion on that?
Absolutely. When I started, also, I mean, it wasn't an experimental process, but a very thought-led process. Though I didn't have that experience of being in the PR industry, but like I said, the learnings came from life. So one of the things that I felt when I was a journalist was that, at times you would ask a client, or the person you were interviewing, that I need this and I need that, And the answers would come, oh, I'll have to talk to this agency. So when you were talking to a PR agency, they would say, oh, this is not my domain of work, but I have to coordinate with someone else. And what I felt as a journalist was that either that opportunity is gone for that client, that story is missed, or I would do what I felt at that point because my deadline is critical and I'm not going to compromise that for whatever reason it is from the other side. So whatever I put it out. So that led me to understand that, when you are actually looking at something, look it as a 360-degree solutions. That not only helps to, yes, your options increase, that is there, that's a business decision, but at the same time, it also aids you and gives you more freedom to work. Handling a brand from start to finish is an amazing thing to do, and that's something I wanted to do. When I started off, it was not a job for me. I had done 16 years of my jobs, so for me it was more to get that satisfaction of, like I said, building and creating. Be part of that creation process, and that can't come if you're doing only one segment of that larger piece. So that was the reason to look at a 360-degree space. And like now when I look at it, it is all the more essential, is what I feel. Logical today when there is COVID, when people are losing jobs left, right, center. There is an economic tsunami that's going on. You don't have the luxury really to say, I'm going to have 10 agencies doing things today. Now you're going to prioritize things. And that's where I think 360-degree approach would help, because money is no longer going to be spent based on luxury and fancies. Now money will be spent based on your needs. So if you create and understand that need within the system, and you can give value add, that kind of is a deal changer for you.
100%. So is that the reason behind the name Artsmith/Concepts and Vision? I really like the name, Concept and Vision.
Actually, I've actually had a lot of criticism also. There have been people who have actually said, what is Artsmith doing in sports? And so my take to that has been, Smith is always one who kind of constructs, right? So my job is to construct, and I want to do it like an artist, because artist does innovation, artist conceives, artist does everything, and then final thing happens. So that's what I want to do. So yes, Artsmith is that, and it starts from the concept and the vision, and then you create that finished product. So it's a connect between this two.
Yeah. Oh, that's very thoughtful. Yeah, the name matters a lot, obviously. Like, when we were naming the bridge, so there was a reason why we named the bridge as the bridge. That, okay, we really
It's an
wanted
amazing one, actually. One
yeah.
with the concept.
Yeah. But name, matters a lot too. So yeah, moving ahead, carrying forward this conversation, especially from the media industry and followed by like the common people, the common masses, common is, on the surface, PR for them looks like that, okay, PR hi to karna hai, PR is more or less similar for all kind of domains and industry and all kind of entities. And but with like Artsmith, you have a diverse kind of organizations as your clients, starting from federations and then sports leagues and teams, and you have international tournaments as your clients, and then corporate brands. So how does the methodology differ in each of the these mentioned categories of client? For example, like managing an organization, like working with Sports Authority of India must be totally different from working with Tata Motors, right?
Yeah.
So how does this function?
See, first of all, I think the concept of saying, the perception of a PR, of saying, acha ye koi story bechne aaya hai, that's how it is. And the other thing is, aap ye story chhap do. These are very common thing you will hear when you pick that call and you talk to a PR guy, or it's the other way around. I think that's where the disconnect is, because when you're going there like that, you are trying to convince someone of something. And in the process, you yourself is also trying to convince yourself. Now, if you're in that space of convincing yourself as well as the other guy, when you know that you can't sell it, but you start selling it, the problem arises. But, and that's where I think understanding research is critical. These two things are very, very important. You can't go to someone and say, "Aap ye chhap do," especially in a time like today when your top 5 newspapers mostly have half page. What are you going to do there? What are you going to chhap do there? You can't do chhap dos anymore. So, it's important that you have to research, find content. So it's the power of the content that will make a good PR and a bad PR.
Mm-hmm.
When you have good content, a guy as a journalist, he's looking for good stories. He's also
Correct.
looking for bad stories. That's there. But good stories, if you give him, you will never find a no. So channelize your efforts towards finding those good stories. If you can find those good stories, I would say in out of 10 cases, 9.5 will be your bad story will take a back seat, and those good stories will take that driving seat there. And that's very critical. While we have diverse set of clients, the needs and dealing with those needs is where your challenges and your success lies. End of the day, everybody wants publicity, right? Whether it is through media or through I would say affirmation of a consumer. And digital media has not made our life easy. It's become like a crazy nutcase. I mean, we were in lockdown and we've been working 24/7, and most of them are, is because of digital media, because you've not stopped. It's non-stop at this point.
Yeah.
So that is where it's very critical that you know research. Most of the time people don't value research, and I honestly feel research, infographics, these are great things. It doesn't always need to be worded stories. If you can find research, it will protect your brand. It will build your brand. You really don't need to go with a begging bowl and say, okay, please chap do mera story. So that bit is very, very critical. And if we can do that, irrespective of the any kind of challenges, methodology of success is there with you. It has to be process oriented. I want to quote Gary Kirsten here, because when he came to India, and I had this conversation and it stayed with me over the years. I said, you just had Greg Chappell, who was a brilliant coach, and he couldn't manage Indian cricketers for whatever reason. Not that he didn't, whatever he said was wrong. He said the right things, but something went wrong, and which is why everything fell flat. And what Gary said is, managing ego is critical. And managing ego doesn't happen till the time you put a process in place. You've taken every stakeholder into confidence. And when you do all of this thing, the process gets led automatically. And that has really stayed with me. And I've really kind of learned and keep going back to those words. Because when I take a new client, or my guys in my team, they look at it as a process. We need to set in a process, and when you put a process, then it becomes auto generated, then your hard work kind of gets diminished. So it's all the effort is putting that process. So based on a client, you research, you analyze, you find out what are my gray areas, what are my positives, what am I going to lead with, and also your relationship with your client. Because if it is just an agency client relationship, it's not going to work anymore. You need to build your trust factors. Client needs to depend on you, and that doesn't happen overnight, of course, but that's where you have to grow more from the PR space to going and creating that understanding with the client. That's very critical, because once you have the trust factor going, then they start taking you seriously. If they consider you as an advising and as a sounding board, even if it doesn't have PR space, but they will run it past you because they know your judgment will help them to end the process. And I think that's what we should all strive for as PR, especially in sports PR, because it's a very, very evolving, passionate space. And their judgment calls are very important. And they need to be passion drives, so passion overrides logic. So here there is a very finer and a very critical space that's there, and that's where your judgment calls are very important.
True. I think the belief system has to be such that the organization, which are your clients, they need to trust you, your judgment, like you rightly said. That's true. And also on the fact that all the digital entities and companies like us, our work has increased multifolds during pandemic. And so our work, and you know, the unfortunate part is that there is no that okay, 7 बज गया अब घर जाना है. That is not the case here, and you have the laptop at home and work from home है तो चल रहा है. Okay, it's 8, it's 9, it's 10, काम चल रहा है. So that's how it's happening. And you know, in our journey, in Bridges journey in the past 3 years, so because I have seen closely sports in the past 3 years, and we do receive a lot of like press releases in general, right? And this is a very important element, I would say. This can sound as a small element, but this is important to a greater extent. Like I receive a lot of calls that okay, Arshi, तुमको एक press release भेजा है, publish कर दो. That's it. And just imagine, like, मुझे क्या लगेगा, मतलब आपको सिर्फ publish ही कराना है.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
yeah. Rather than
A transactional relationship, you know, I call you only just for publishing it. That's about it.
yeah, true. Rather
That's
than
not, yeah.
correct, 100%. Rather than saying that, see, your is a media publication and we are here into public relation. So how can we partner together for a longer term, for a longer benefit that can be for the betterment of the sports ecosystem? So there has to be a process, as you rightly said, and I'm really glad that we are talking about it. And very often we don't get to hear such conversations, so that's really good. So, taking the conversation ahead, Odita, being into public relation and a media professional, and now you're heading a PR company, so it's important to keep your like eyes and ears open 24/7, and that comes with this job. So, what is the mantra, if I may ask, of being a reputed and trustworthy PR professional? Like, are there any specific media relation tactics which you would like to share with the audience? How do you handle?
You know, the mantra is very simple, be honest. It's been my mantra. You know, I mean, if you're not honest, it's not going to work. Because, you know, see, our ecosystem is very small. You try and play smart with people, they're going to come back to you. It's no point of it's not a space where you give back and come back to as much as earning trust and building on the trust from the client side is important. Same thing goes with media as well. Media can become a wonder to you if you respect them. You know, if they think for once, or if that's an attitude a PR has, that you know you're going to take them for a ride, and you've dug your grave there. Because media can really be your good friend. Now, how you make them your good friend, or you dug a grave for yourself, is your calling. But some simple mantras that I would say is, you know, you as a PR. I mean, one of this thing that I've always felt is that we who are trying to communicate and trying to promote something, and we are the least informed at times because we don't study, we don't do our homeworks properly. As PR professional, we are the ones who need to study in depth. Even probably a client will not go to those extents of looking through things, those papers, those documents, those research materials. We need to do that, because if you don't know the end to end of that particular brand and you claim that you're going to protect that brand, that's not happening, because journalists end of the day will find the flaws, and then you just don't know how to handle it. So you know, you have to keep reading, keep being informed, you have to adapt, you have to innovate. All these things, if you don't do, and these are all real time today, mind you. The match has happened yesterday and you're going to aram to fight the story in the morning. That's not happening. because it's real time. You break it on Twitter. You don't no longer break it on go and write your copy. The first instinct is I'm going to tweet. So your stories gets broken today on Twitter. So real time it is. So you have to innovate, adapt. You have to know more. One of the things that I learned as a journalist is if you're covering sports and federations, the first thing that you need to do is you need to go through the constitution. How many journalists or how many PR person actually does that? I'm not aware, but I think that's a very, very critical space. If you don't know the constitution of that particular federation, you really don't know how much of problem you have at hand and what are you going to do when those problems actually comes and stands in front of you. So knowing the constitution is as basic as that, because if you know, you will also find your answers there. So reading is actually a solution and a problem solver for you. And of course, you have to go beyond. I'm supposed to do, I'm mandated to do PR, but there comes the beyond part of it. I have to train this. I need to make them understand how to face a camera. So training is a big process because most of these Olympic sports players, they're not evolved at this point. They're getting evolved. It's a process for them as well. So you have to go to those levels. You have to, when it comes to the media, hiding a negative story is not going to help, because there are leaks, there are social media. Nothing is going to get hidden. Let's face those facts. You cannot hide anymore. You cannot manipulate. If you manipulate, someone will get manipulated, but someone will not get manipulated. So if there was one enemy, you've created two enemies now. So problem increases. It's not actually diminishing for you. So taking people in confidence, being honest, like I said, honesty is your best bet. There is a problem. Now the question is, can I speak to the journalist, be upfront, talk about it, and ask him, okay, either you don't do it, if that's a journalist's call, whether he or she agrees to do that. If he agrees, brilliant. If he doesn't, then you talk about plan Bs, which is how do you diminish the damage? How do you create a parallel communication which will probably get the negativity less? Or how do you protect the client and yet get the story out? So these are the tactics. I would say tactics are not being in hiding, but tactics are being in honest and taking people in confidence. Same goes with today. It's just not your media, right? You also have an engagement space with your consumer. You get trolled, and troll makes news today. So morning as a journalist, the first thing you do is you open Twitter and see what's trending, right? So as a PR, my job is to also monitor that. Policing that part is very critical. So how do I make myself not getting trended for wrong reasons? That also needs to be looked at. So I think being honest, and a great example is Maggie. Look at it. It went through the worst of its phases, and even today you would come back to Maggie, right? Because of what? Because of that connect. So being
Especially
honest,
after lockdown.
being yeah, it's been a savior for all of us, right? Middle of the night when you just don't know whether sleep is gone by, you make Maggie and you eat it. So, so I'm just trying to that is more than relevant today when everything is falling apart. Building confidence and being honest is, I think, the best step forward for PR, for any kind of communication, social media or otherwise, is important.
Yeah, definitely. So for the audience, we will be taking audience question towards the end. Otherwise, it will just break the flow of our conversation. So we have a couple of interesting questions I can see, and even on Facebook, a couple of questions are there. So Udita, you spoke about Olympic sports and Olympic sports persons, and especially I would say the newcomers and the new stars who are the potential medal winners. They probably need a lot of training on how do they face the camera and the media and all. So you have closely observed cricket as well and then Olympic sports as well. So how much is the difference according to you That is A. And how do we work on the differences on like cricket versus Olympic sports, where Olympic sport KPR is in a very not in a nascent, but it's still growing. It's not that evolved yet.
Yeah. Um, I think one of the best example, which is easy to explain, is one is a cakewalk, which is a lot to do with how you walk that cake. And the one is the satisfaction of having the cake. So the word to stress is satisfaction. So I think cricket is a lot to do with, it's not evolving. Okay. So here, the words to look for are your own personal, and I would say the way the skill set that you need is to how to deal with this kind of because ego and interest are a key space of cricket reporting and cricket PR, and that's something which is very very critical. So the most important thing is the interpersonal skills that you have. That skill set needs to come in place more than anything else. It's how you balance all these factors. The cricket has superstars in it, and everybody is a superstar in that room. So how do you balance that? And there is a thing of like cricket will get priority now. Everybody wants it, and now if you give it to A and you don't give it to the B and C's, then you have a problem in hand. So there comes your interpersonal skills and understanding of how you manage egos and interests and do your job. And that's what is cricket. I mean, if you can crack that part, rest is very very simple, because you don't need to make people believe in the product. There is a belief in the product. Though today the good part is that there are a lot of journalists, at least they feel that cricket is not the end all of everything, and that's where I think the beginning of Olympic sports PR starts. Because when in our days people wouldn't even consider it. So there wasn't a need, but at least now people consider, so we find ourselves relevant at least. It's still a very very growing space. A lot needs to be done even today. If there is uh, cricket sports, but you will see major newspapers still giving half a page to EPL. Now that EPL is technically, I don't know, I mean, we've seen the match a day before, but we still see half a page of EPL, right? But then the good part is, from Olympic sports finding two lines, it still gets headlines today. I still see Chirag and Satvik getting a front page on a Times of India or a Hindustan Times or an Hindu. So we've done our strides, but yes, it's a lot. It's just the beginning of the Olympics. Sports is that satisfaction. Every time you see them, that tricolor going up, and you've done some bit of contribution to that, that's an immense satisfaction. I don't think so, that can be compensated by as much money or anything else. And I think that's why I use that Olympic sports is all about satisfaction. And I wanted to say this. I had not for whatever reason, I've done sizable years for cricket coverage, but I did not do Olympics in when I was a journalist. So when I quit, I still had the opportunity, because then 2012 was something I was doing. By then I had quit. So I actually, even after starting my company, I shut it for a few months, and I actually went for the Olympics and I covered it as a journalist, because I wanted to do that, because that's a satisfaction, which I don't think as many World Cup I have done had given me as one Olympic has given me.
Oh, wow. Okay. One question is relevant because of this context. Mr. Anil Batra, he's asking, Udita, any memorable experience you would like to share with your audience, which you will remember for lifetime?
As a peer, or I mean, okay,
In your
I'll
life,
answer.
life in sports, yeah.
Everything is life in sports. Of course, it will be the four Olympic medal that we won in 2012. I think that will be right at the top. Um, I mean, that moment when Mary Kom walked that Olympic arena, and in boxing, people actually don't clap; they stamp. So there's this boom boom news that you hear. And Mary walked in, and she won that match, and went into the semi-finals and assuring herself a bronze. Um, it was magical, it was magical. It was magical to see Gagan the way he went and got that medal. And especially when you know these athletes, the amount of efforts they have put, nothing can beat those moments. Um, a close second probably would be 2007. It's not a great memory, but it was a memory that it stays, because 2007 World Cup, Cricket World Cup, we lost to Bangladesh. It was the country was burning. Effigies were burning, and you saw how players get affected. It's not like players don't get affected. People like Dhoni, their houses were burned. And people were standing there and doing things. It does, and so it's something that tells you that you can't get your guard down any time of your life. And I think that's something as a PR also, you can't be relaxed. You have to be always on your toes. So memories that stands.
Yeah, right. So talking about Olympic sports, Udita, because yeah, the last one decade, 2 decade, it's been very crucial, in terms of policy formation and putting structure in places like federations everywhere, even in the grassroots, so much of things are happening. So this is more in Olympic sports, obviously, because the organizations and the federations are new as compared to, let's say, something a lot more structured like cricket. And obviously, the fragments also give birth at times to like frictions, and be it the battle over elections, and at a lot of times there are tussle going on between entities for power and authority and every other thing. So here we get to read and hear a lot of, at times, like negative stories and negative headlines. At times it's true, but at times it's exaggerated, and at times it's completely false as well. So being, because you have federations as your client, so being an agency who is working with such federations, so how do you tackle that crucial time, and how do you pacify the situation if there is an exaggerated media headline which is like not true, which is not showing the exact picture, or probably which is showing only one side of the story?
Yeah, I mean, see, it's a tough place. A lot of, I think, a lot of learning and relearning and a lot of alignments are needed. Federation is not an easy place to work. Um, from the start to today in our 8-9 years journey, I think I would say this, that federations have also evolved. There was this time when PR was not even considered. They will do what they want to do. They will think later. Implications were thought later. Implications were not thought beforehand. From that space to today, PR has come a long way as far as federations are concerned. So has federation officials, because there was a time when I, as a journalist, and you will agree, we've always considered that federation is at fault. कुछ भी हो जाए, even if they do anything, गड़बड़ तो federation में ही है. And it was actually a fact. But I can tell you today, when I am privy to a lot of inside things, I wouldn't say that people are perfect. Perfection is not what you have. You try and achieve them, but there are efforts. There are honestly efforts, and I can say this, that I'm really fortunate, I guess, that I can work with a man like Mr. Ajay Singh in boxing. Absolute visionary. I mean, if there is a fault, he will be the first one to pick that up. So that's what it is. Today federations, there was a time when people would only think about siphoning money out of it. But those things have changed today. Today, people in federations, the officials, they put in effort. See, galti to hota hai. I'm not saying they're perfect, but efforts are, I would say, 200% more than what it used to be. Today, players benefits, players interest is primary. So that ways, federations have changed. Today, PR is considered. I mean, I can tell you this, that when we had that AIBA championship in Delhi in 2018 World Championship, one of the major factor in the initial meetings was to understand that what time should we have the matches. This has never happened before. Why are they asking that question is not because of anything else, but because what are the deadlines? Iva wanted to know this. That what will be the deadlines in which if you finish the match, at least your marquee match, you will get journalists to carry that story. So that kind of discussions happening, it itself says that we've come a long way, and that's important. However, saying that there are teething problems and it's going to be there, right? But if you can take that in stride, because what is more important is the intent, and intents are now a lot and lot more there, because we all want to win more Olympic medals. We have federations who are genuinely looking into it. We have a sports minister, Sai, tops. There are systems being placed. Yes, we all need to be more cohesive, more and more, because more you do that, the system and the process becomes more foolproof. But that's a process of evolvement, right? And that happens to everybody, every system world over. But I think that's where journalists are also open today. They were I can remember handpicked journalists used to cover Olympic sports. Today, you have entourage of journalists going to cover Olympic. And when did that happen in India? So these are positives.
Yeah.
Yes, negatives are there, and I think as PR, it is our job, as an industry, as people who are working for the sport, to continuously innovate and push for the right causes. I can take one example of saying that age fraud, that's a major issue in sports. As much as that's a PR nightmare for me, but it's not going to go away if I consider it's not exist. So the question is, how do I face it head on? Um, I have a lot of discussions with federation officials, and they also understand. We try and look at things. How can we make it sensible for media to pick it up? Where we try and understand. There have been so many exercises that we've done where we've taken feedback from the media and taken it back to the federation. We've tried to create those platforms, and like I said, it's evolving process.
Yeah, 100%. Probably, talking about Olympic sports, as you said, that now an entourage of people are going to cover journalists. Probably that's why a bridge is existing today, media publication, which is only for Olympics and lesser known sports. Like 20 years ago, no one would have thought about, I would say, something like this working out. So that's where we stand. So that's a good sign for all of us. So
That's
Udita,
the belief the
yeah,
system gives you, right?
correct,
Uh,
correct.
there was a time when people wouldn't even believe that.
Hmm.
So I think there's lots to do for sure, and people like you, people like us, the ecosystem has to be more cohesive. I think once we do that, like a top bottom approach or a bottom up approach, but that approach needs to be very, very cohesive.
Yeah. Udita, when we were starting the bridge, a couple of people and quite senior in the industry, and they said that, sure ho tum log, to me and my co-founder Shubhro, श्योर हो तुम लोग कौन पढ़ेगा एंड लाइक हम दोनों ने एक दूसरे की शक्ल देखी एंड पढ़ेंगे पढ़ेंगे लोग पढ़ेंगे एंड लाइक नाउ वी आर every month we are reaching page views is like 1 million and all organic and people are taking interest and interesting बात ये है कि we receive requests from people that is there any way of in your website that I want to read only archery ka content, okay, I want to read only rowing ka content. Now imagine that in a country like us where cricket occupies the larger part of the pie and people there is an appetite for content and news and so much of buzz around something like rowing and sailing. and ice hockey for that matter, or speed skating and all of that. So definitely it's a good path where we are heading. So let's talk, move to the further section of the conversation. Let's talk a bit about crisis management in public relation, because it's an important part of PR. And if we look in the last few years, the entire Hardik Pandya and KL Rahul controversy is one of the biggest PR debacles. So, you being a professional, what would you have done to avoid this particular instance, and uh, what is generally the roadmap when things like this go out of hand like wildfire?
You want an honest answer?
Definitely, yeah.
I would stop them from going to a Karan Johar show for sure. But yeah, I mean, uh, but when you've given a video interview and you've said what you've said, and it's in the public domain, um, you can't do much as far as the content is concerned. Remember that. So, you know, it's a crisis. I think, it's a crisis that was created, um, and you had to live with it. You can't say I was misquoted because that's a video interview, right?
Hmm.
You can't say that, oh, it's been chopped from the first and end and only a certain portion is shown, which is not. A credible guy came out and gave interview. This is what they said, and this is what is out. So you have a lot of problems in hand. So I think at times crisis PR is also about keeping quiet.
Hmm.
Silence is virtue at times, and that's also something that you need to understand when you're dealing with crisis PR. When you have issues at hand, and if you talk, it may not douse, but it can spread. So those are the times you need to take like a backseat for a while. You not like you're just sitting there. You're creating a new set of narrative, but you have to give it that much of time to just wear out.
Hmm.
I think what they did with KL Rahul and Hardik was pretty much that, along with the back channeling that was happening, which is critical, I guess. And I think, see, crisis is something. Uh, Earlier, it used to come once in a month or blue moons types. When you had a crisis. Now, crisis happens every second because Twitter is there. So social media is something someone will tweet and you are like fretting, like, oh my God, what am I going to do now?
Hmm.
So crisis needs to be dealt real time now.
Yeah.
And real time, you really need to have your, communications and your study done, because you don't have time to even refer to things. I'll give you an example. One day, sometime back, like around 8:15, I get a call, um, and this very senior journalist said, I'm doing a story which is an upside. He told me the story, what the story was, and it was a negative story. And I'm like, wow, at 8:15 you're telling me, like, I'm telling him that, like, why did you tell me earlier? So he's like, oh, well, I got it like now, and I'm calling you, I'm finding the story now, you tell me what you want to do. I'm like, okay. And I said, so by when do you want the answers back? It's like 9 o'clock, the paper has to go. It's a deadline time. So I'm sitting at 8:15 p.m. 9 o'clock is the deadline time. And that's the only time I have. And I'm talking like a federation guy, and really, it doesn't work like that.
Why did he call you at the last moment?
But my job is to respond, right? That's
Yeah,
what
yeah, yeah.
they're for.
I think it's
So
yeah.
I no, see, the important thing is he called. I mean, see, that's the difference. Today they call. At least they will tell you that. Now the thing is, what can be my possible approach? Should I say, oh, you please don't print it today, or it's all lies? No, nothing like that happened. Or you say, okay, give me some time and let me come back. Now, to call federation guys at 8:30 in the night and say, okay, I need to give this, and these are very complicated legal issues. First, it is for me to understand, number one. Then is to draft, then is to send, and everything in a span of like 20 minutes is like a next to nightmare. But the good part is, like I initially told you, that the trust factor. So there was a judgment call. Both the senior guys in the federation said, "What do we are not at fault." That was one thing they said. But I said, you know what? If you say that, it doesn't kind of cut eyes to me as a journalist. I need to give them a logic why we are at not fault. So I said, okay, fine. So this forwarded me some 15 emails, which are like legal documents. Do I have enough time to even go through them? Um, I mean, I pulled in my journalistic understanding. I knew pretty much what the issue was. So I drafted a very compact, like on the phone itself in an SMS, and sent, and everything happened in WhatsApps. So you really don't work then like a PR. Then you switch and become a journalist, because that time you're protecting the brand. You got to do what you got to do. And I gave that the content to that journalist, and nice of him that he actually printed both versions. What could have been a complete nightmare the next day was a balanced story. I mean, I don't think here I can say that it was a crisis. It was a crisis averted. I would have been having a nightmare in the morning, and the entire media world would have been following that story, and creating another nightmare for me, which got averted just because of this judgment calls that we took that night. Um, Now that judgment call, I don't know whether anybody who was just a PR could have taken, but I think it's something that I personally had that advantage, because as a journalist you had those understandings. So you could figure what can happen and what. So anticipation was is critical, and I think that's the only way you can avert a crisis,
Yeah, true. That
because you don't think when it happens. You got to anticipate it.
जो भी करना है पहले सोच के कर लो.
हाँ, मतलब
Otherwise it
आपको
becomes
अगर
very.
पता है कि ये एक लूप होल है, then and you can only know that when you have that understanding of news, this will come back to hit you hard. So you identify and highlight them right in the strategy space, that when you're presenting to the client, you say that these are 5 points. We need to figure solutions, because if we don't now, they're going to eventually come and bite you.
Correct. Yeah. So that was some अंदर की खबरें for the audience, the how the world functions. And so
I'm sure I'm going to get a nightmare after this once the call is over.
no, I don't think so. But from the audience, whoever is like an aspiring PR professional, probably that person will now go back and think, do I really want to pursue career in PR?
Amazing space to be. I mean, you love something and you're doing something. How often does that happen? Um, you this is something which I think that's the only reason why when I see my team, I ask them quite often, like, why are you even doing it? You can find a better job and go ahead and have a happy life. They're like, we love it. This is a different kind of a high.
Yeah,
And this high you only feel when you're in sports PR and you are with sports.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, even like my team has this same attitude towards work. So they're like, नहीं करना है अभी. जब tournament है तो it doesn't matter रात के 12 बज रहे हैं या दिन के 12 बज रहे हैं. You just need to watch it and cover it. Yeah, right. So that was some brilliant insight into the conversation. And we will be heading towards the last part of the conversation, where followed by which we'll take a couple of audience questions as well. So, Udita, as the latest addition in ArtMith's kitty, your partnership with the Esports Federation of India, and I believe this collaboration is much more challenging than others, because here you are tapping into a sport which is in a very nascent stage of development in the country, and there are no processes, there are no formal, I would say, policies, no formalization of tournaments, etc. So here I believe your role will be much more in increasing the awareness and all. So how did this happen, and what plan do you have?
I think a lot of credit has to go to my team rather than me, because when we were having a process of deciding what we're going to do in 2019, 2020, sorry. And of course, COVID had not hit us till that point. Um, we did discuss esports, like, that this is something that we need to look at. But while COVID happened, we were talking, like I said, adaptability and innovations were some of the discussions that as internally we were having. We felt that this is the right time for that extension that we wanted to do. We've been in touch with people for quite some time, even before COVID happened. One of the triggering factor was, I in my team itself, when we do these leagues, you know how challenging and high octane they are. Like, you don't sleep for like that good 1 month. Like 2 hours of sleep is the best that you can get. You're traveling, you're working 24/7, you're not having food, you're not having on time. So everything goes helter skelter. But having all of that in one end, I would see my team actually finding time for at least 2 hours and playing PUBG. And I'm like, how do you even do that? They were like, don't worry, I'm going to do that morning interview and all of that. Everything sorted. And I would see them 7 in the morning standing at the hotel lobby with the player and getting that interview done. So I'm like, boss, this is serious passion and serious sport. It's not a pastime. They do it, they find time to do it. I mean, if I get 2 hours, I will sleep. They will go and play because they want to play. It's a big space for them. Now, if my team thinks like that, I'm sure there are many young boys, young girls, and most important is women do that. That's amazing about this sport. There's close to 32% women who are mobile gamers, and that's amazing. That's a huge number. So all of that, and and a lot of study. I mean, I had no clue what esport means. Honestly, I'll be very honest here. But like I said, studying helps. This 5 months, a lot of studying has happened, like a student about esports. And I figured and understood, what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, and you'll soon hear very interesting stuff that we'll be coming out with, because I think this is the time, the learnings of Olympic sports will help. Because there is an opportunity, people are already doing it. What they don't know is how to do it and what can become. They just know it's something that we do. So here, breaking myths are important and building new narratives are important. So something that we've done with Olympic sports, and a bit of adaptability will be needed because this is a completely different domain. But I think the learnings will really, really help. And of course, people like you guys who are doing esports. So, I'm sure.
Also, and now, esports will be a part of the Olympics and the Asian Games. It will be a medal winning sport. So the narrative has to change around it, like
Yeah.
rightly
And
said.
what also made me thinking was, when I heard from these guys, they play PUBG, then I saw someone going and winning a medal at the Asian Games. So what made me think is this the same thing or they're different things? And, now the main thing is, you have to also understand what is the difference between gaming and esports. They're not same thing. They're different things. One leads to the other. So gaming is like the first step, and specialized version is esports. So it's that process and evolvement we need to come.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, Dita, we can just go on with our conversation. Any which ways, both of us love speaking to each other. So we can just go on, but we have some limit on the time. So one last question from my end personally is that this is for more for the audience to know that what it takes to be a good PR professional in India, and how can a person start, how and where can a person can start his or her career in PR, in sports in particular?
Um, See, if you are driven by pay packets, this is not the place to be on the first place. But if you're driven by passion, you're driven to do what you want to do. Sports is something we all follow, but this is a space where you can come and you can do those things. Money will follow. So I would say that the few things that as a young or as a job seeker, that you need to see is that this is a space which has immense growth. You can do lots. I mean, you have no if you're doing a corporate job, probably what you will do in 5 years, and you do it in sports, you do it in 1 year. That kind of potential is there. You want to grow as a professional, come to sports. This is the place to be.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That was good. And but people need to think. And yeah, it's
But
a good.
heart has to be there. Why you are coming, that you need to be very clear. You're not coming here to hobnob with a PV Sindhu or a Mary Kom, because then the reasons are wrong.
Hmm.
These are the perks of the job.
Correct. Correct.
But your hat has to be in the right place.
Yeah. Right.
Because you will not have a Saturday and a Sunday, let me tell you. All sports events are going to happen on a Saturday and a Sunday. So your Saturday and Sunday is not happening. Your 5 to 6 job is not happening. So, you have to give up on a lot, but you can only do that when you're really passionate about it.
Yeah. Yeah, like our families, they'll say that, okay, क्या तुम्हारा Saturday Sunday को भी छुट्टी नहीं होता है? And then I will reply, Saturday Sunday को ज़्यादा काम होता है normal days से.
Exactly.
True, yeah. So yeah, Udita, we have received a couple of like interesting and crazy questions from the audience, and there are a lot of questions actually. It's not possible for me to take all the questions. A few of them you have already covered in the course of the conversation, so I'll skip them. So one question is from Masoom Jain, and I don't know it's he or she, but yeah, Masoom is asking, does negative publicity benefits the sports and sports person, or it backfires?
Very good question, actually, Masoom. Um, the beaten track answer is that any publicity is always good publicity. But to what extent? Negative publicity, it depends, with strategies you can turn a negative into a positive one also. So as much as it is a bother, but it is how you deal with it can define how much of impact a negative publicity will have. So here it is about gauging and managing the impact. So a good PR would do that, and that would result in either minimizing it or completely moving it out, or completely having a nightmare. So yeah.
Yeah. So next question is from, this is again a very interesting question. And my last webinar was on fan engagement. So it is in context to that. Sports persons and teams has significance in PR space, but what about fans and fan groups in India? Somu P. Joseph is asking this question.
That's a very, very important space, actually. When I was a journalist, one of the major driving aspect to decide content used to be what is the TRP of that show. So if you have great content and you did not have TRP, which means that content will be scrapped. And I always felt that you are judged by not the good work, but by certain numbers on the Excel. So this will not change till fans have a voice. I honestly feel that social media gives you that, the power to a fan, and that is something you as a brand or as a PR today we cannot ignore. However, a fan voice needs to be constructive. There always cannot be a right and a wrong. There can be a middle path also. So fans also need to understand this, that all the time it is not about just, oh, you were wrong and I'm going to troll you, and you are right and I'm going to support you and going to probably demonize someone else. Fans needs to be responsible, and that's a space that really needs to be looked in. And look at what Sushant Singh Rajput case is happening. It's a fan movement today.
Yeah.
And fans have huge space. Sports is all about engagement. Without fan, there is nothing. Today, when you don't have people in the stadium. Fans are what you're thinking of connecting digitally. So it's more than ever relevant and more than ever important. So yeah, fan voice is very important to look at.
Yeah, correct. You know, for Sushant, I have seen YouTube channels of individual fans, and their subscriber bases are increasing because of like regular follow up on the case and updates. So it's yeah, it's crazy.
And has
So
the power. You need to just
correct.
channelize the right way.
Yeah, 100%. So we have Dr. Kevin Moore. He's from Belgium. Like he's our regular viewer and our well-wisher. So he's asking, so the moment you said about EPL, so he's saying, did I hear there is a lot of coverage of the EPL, which meaning the English Premier League. So if so, why is this? Do the English clubs manage their PR in India directly?
As much as I want to give an honest answer, this will, I'm sure, antagonize a lot of media guys here. But the fact is, it is not to do with sports, but the editors of the media houses. Um, for them, Indian football and EPL, so EPL is here and Indian football is here. I mean, I want to see my newspaper talk about a Messi rather than probably a Sunil Chetri or one of the other boys.
Hmm.
Now, that is something. Yes, I mean, I'm not saying that that's a crime or that's not to be done. The question is, how much do you balance? Balancing is important. I mean, till today, I honestly feel that Olympic sports, the amount of uh, publicity they used to get from then to now was also about that 4 year cycle or a 2 year cycle, kind of things. When you're closer to the sport, they are what? I mean, moment it is done, you would come back and probably not give that much of stress to that sport. Now, if we can change those narratives, of course, a lot has to do with performances because India is all about hero worship. So performance is critical. But again, there was a time when the systems were not there. Today, an athlete, Indian athlete, the at least the elite athletes, the way they're taken care of by the government, I don't see that internationally happening. Our elite athletes, they are well secured today. There is talks, there is uh, federation money coming in. There is a job for every athlete, most of the athletes. And I keep saying it elite, not the grassroots, but the elite ones. And these are great. I mean, abroad also, in Europe also, it doesn't happen. Most of our shuttlers abroad, they have to fend for that money. Today our players have those securities.
Yeah.
So I think it's important as an ecosystem we need to do more, so that it is just not a 4 year cycle. And to say that EPL, but yes, EPL is, it gets priority, but it's our job, right? That doesn't stop us
Yeah.
from doing what we're doing. So if we can cross over from that stage where we used to get 2 lines of Olympic coverage to a space where we get front page headlines, I'm sure those days are not far when we can cross over to that as well.
Yeah, that's true. I think I'm recollecting one of a very, I would say, familiar instance in my office. You know, whenever someone new joins the team, and while introducing, let's say, if someone will say that, okay, yeah, my name is this, and my hobbies are this, and I'm a huge Liverpool fan. Okay, and then the other Liverpool fans in the team are like, oh yeah, मतलब भाई यार दोस्त आ गया. So it is that crazy, that harmony and love and affection. So at times it goes like crazy, but that's true. And in my team especially, we are more into Indian football and Olympic sports. So but as you rightly said, that people we have various reasons for that. But then a diehard fan of, let's say, but this I have seen in South India, like Kerala Blasters fan and Bengaluru FC fans, they go crazy. I mean, whenever there is a match here in Bangalore, they go really crazy. But obviously, the scale is not that huge, and it's not same across every part of the country. So that is there. Yeah, we'll be taking the next question. Again, an interesting question. This question is from Mr. Anil Batra, and he's saying, PR in male sports and PR in female sports, are they different? If yes, then in what way?
I just 1 second, I can't hear you for some reason.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Uh, see, yeah, can you repeat that question?
Yeah, Udita, can you hear me?
Yeah, now, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Anil is asking that the PR in male sports and PR in female sports. So, is it different? And if yes, then in what way? I think what he's meaning is male athlete and female athlete.
No, I think actually, if you ask me, men have to fight for it. Women are the empowerment is immense in Olympic sports.
Mm-hmm.
The stories are amazing. So I wouldn't say that it's different because strategies are not different, but I guess women empowerment is a major aspect of PR also that we consider as a strategy. Finding those stories, talking about them, and Mary Kom is a best example of that amount of inspiration. But then again, Mary Kom has inspired men and women at par. It's not like only that women have got inspired. There have been so many boys I've heard boxers, they say that I want to be like Mary Kom. So challenging and breaking barriers. So women PR, and no, I don't think so. It's pretty much the same.
Okay, great. So yeah, that was it, Udita, from the audience. Although yeah, there are still a lot of questions, but then we have certain time limit. So thank you, Udita, for coming on this session with us and for giving such, I would say, a transparent insight on the public relation. Because we have this notion that okay, PR wale ज़्यादा अंदर की बातें बाहर नहीं बोलते या फिर they are just like that only. They will not speak about it much, but we're really thankful to you and your team and my team. Thank you to both the teams to facilitate this conversation
Thank you
among
so
us.
much for having and giving us this platform.
Thank you, Udita. Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good day, Ashley.